Sidwell, hello. You can unmute yourself. All righty. It's good to see listeners all across Africa. We have quite a few Africans here, and that is what Farm Spaces is about. It's about connecting all of us and having a dialogue that we wouldn't have otherwise if we weren't blessed with this interaction and technology. So I'll be hosting it every Mondays and Thursdays, and I'll always post about what you guys want to hear on Farm Spaces. So I'll ask you guys all the time, like, guys, what is it that we need to be learning? Who do we need to be learning it from? And that's how Farm Spaces will continuously keep at it. And hopefully, Twitter can, do a co-host thing, because in my previous farm space, what happened is that network was an issue. So I'm hoping that you guys can also join. If you guys want to host farm spaces, you're welcome. Just hit me up, and you guys can also be a host, because it's called farm spaces for a reason. It's for farmers. So yes, guys, thank you to everyone who has joined. We are just currently waiting for our speakers. We do have our first speaker here. We're just currently waiting for our other two speakers.
For our listeners, let me just pose this question. Can I hear the listeners as they pose their questions? Will I be able to hear them?
Yes, you will be able to hear them. So right now, the listeners are called listeners. So what will happen is, after I finish asking you guys the set questions that I have prepared, then I'm going to open the floor. So then I'm going to
All right.
open the listeners to become speakers, so that they can ask you their question directly.
All right.
All right. No, thank you so much, Mama, for your time and your patience. We are going to start soon.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone who has joined us. We are waiting for our dear beloved farmers to join the space, and then we shall start. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Farm Spaces, episode 4. We will be talking about goat farming. So I think we can proceed, as to not waste people's time, and our speakers will join us as we proceed. So we will start off with introductions. We'll give our first speaker a chance to introduce himself. So speaker number 1, can you please unmute yourself and give us an introduction to who you are and what it is that you do?
Hello, everyone. My name is Abraham Mpo Applegreen, a farmer here in Northwest. I do a lot of goat farming. It's actually my core business on the farm, and I have a lot to share that I want to share. And I think we are going to be enjoying ourselves this afternoon together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for my wonderful introduction there. And I really think that we're going to learn so much from you because you're an inspiration to many. When I asked people who do they want to speak on goat farming, your name was top of the list. So let's just dive straight into it. Farmer, goats, what breed do you breed and why?
Okay, goats, I breed three different types of goats. The main breed is my Boer goat. And then from the Boer goat, that is the original breed. Then from the Boer goat, we had a Kalahari Red that was bred from the Boer goat to give it a complete 100% red color. And then another breed from the Boer goat is called a Savannah. It's 100% pure white breed. So I'm breeding all of them so that I can give my clients, enough variety to choose whichever breed they want to breed with. Why goat? After breeding cattle for quite a while, I started to have a bit of a problem with efficiency when it comes to cattle production. They are not the best, the most efficient animals, okay? So they will very often run you into cash flow issues because of its long turnaround times. It takes 9 months for gestation, and then it takes another 7 to 8 months for the calf to grow so that you can sell. So it's a kind of longish turnaround time. So it makes farming very, very difficult in terms of cash flow. So I chose goats because their gestation period is much shorter, it's 5 months, and the growth is quite faster, and they are early ripe, and then you can manipulate the production. You can let them produce twice to thrice in 13 months, depending on how you want to manipulate your production system. So basically, that is why I chose goats.
Thank you so much for that, Farmer. So for someone like myself and maybe a lot of the youth who wants to start goat farming, how much space do we actually need to start this Boer goat business? And can we do it on leased land? The land.
Hello, I think I missed a bit of the question there, but I got the first part regarding to how much space do you need to start a Boer goat farming. My research brought me to a conclusion that in a relatively arid area like where I live in the Kalahari, that is not having that much rainfall per annum, for you to breed goats on a more sustainable and commercial level, you need about 200 hectares. 200 hectares, a commercial threshold for sustainable commercial operation is about 100 goats. So 100 goats in 200 hectares survives 12 months without any problem.
Farmer, we all know that here in South Africa especially, land is an issue. Can we lease this land in order to start a goat farming business? Farmer Paul, are you still with us?
I'm still there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Sorry, you got cut there a bit, but
All
I'll
right.
repeat my question. Or did you hear my question?
I heard the question.
All right, you can go.
All right. Let me just restart the answer. What I was saying is, yes, the land is a problem. It's quite a problem. But then when you really want to get started, you can always start small. You can always do them in a hectare or two. That will just limit your growth because now you have to do most of the feeding from your pocket, and that will restrict your growth somewhat. But there are farms that you can lease, and then you can actually start your farming in a much bigger area. So there are farms that you can lease. You just have to adapt the fencing to suit the goat farming because it's a very leaky animal. It just skips through. So you just work on your parameter fences so that it can be contained. Then you can start working.
Thank you so much for that. And it actually ties into my next question. I was going to ask you about the structure of the rooms that you need to build and the feeding units you need to build for goats. Please advise us on how that works.
Well, like I said, I have established my own kind of standards for goat structures, from the fencing to the feeding spaces. Your fencing will have to be, if you have to use like single strands wires, it will have to be 20 centimeter spacing in between, so that it doesn't allow it to its head to go through, because if the head can go through, it will definitely make sure the whole body will go out. So a 20 millimeter space is quite restrictive, and that is my standard for the fencing. And then otherwise you use your normal diamond or meshed fence that is quite secure. You can use that. In terms of feeding, animals, goats are not very eager sharers. Okay, so when they feed, they stamp a lot, they fight a lot. So you must make sure that when you feed them, your feeding space is big enough for everyone to have sufficient space to itself to feed. So, for instance, my normal crib space, just to feed them, my minimum crib space for about 100 goats is about 18 meters long. That is just a crib space. So that whatever you put there, the feed, the leak, everybody must go in at the same time, and not having to wait for the other one to leak or feed, and then like that. So about 18 centimeters feeding space or for the feeding crib.
Wow, yo, guys, goat farming actually needs a lot of space. Who knew? I always used to think that cattle is the one that demands a lot of spaces, but clearly goat farming is way up there as well. So, farmer, please tell us, um, how did you introduce? Because I know obviously you are busy producing premium quality. As farmers, we all strive to produce premium quality in our farms with whatever we do. So how did you introduce the premium quality like into your herd? Because at the end of the day, you want to make profit, and a poor quality flock eats just as much as a good quality flock. So how did you achieve the premium quality that you produce?
Okay, thanks, Cooks. Well, when I worked through my options of when that was when I was planning to retire, I was looking for an option to large stock production that would really sustain me. And then I was obviously looking at sheep, and I was obviously looking at goats. But then I chose goat eventually. And then obviously with a lot of white farmers around, with their auctions every often, and the kind of quality that they produce, one thought that is the best way, the best level to start. But then you won't be able to access those qualities at once. The pricing actually, when you look at the goat farming landscape, the pricing is an inhibiting factor. I think it is more, it's very deliberate to keep more black people out of this business. But then I decided, okay, fine, I will buy it whatever price. Then I introduce only start rams into my otherwise lower quality ewes. So that's how I started my development of my genes in the flock. So every time I bought my rams, I make sure I buy stud rams so that my gene pool start improving that way. And it takes a while. It's been a while that I've been doing it until now. I couldn't even bother to make myself known because I knew everybody will be looking for this kind of animal. I buy the very expensive one, but you know those expensive ones, they are very pampered animals. They are born in the shed, they are raised in the shed, they never leave. So I cannot be selling those animals to our people where they are having very tough conditions where they must farm. So